Now for some company news. Tropical Arctic Logistics Limited, TAL, is set to improve aviation services in Nigeria with the launch of an Augusta Westland AW139 helicopter, the first in its fleet of aircraft. The chief executive officer of the company, Baywood Ibe, who promised top-notch service to end users, also appealed to the federal government to do more in support of indigenous investors such as TAL.
Safety, efficiency and customer service. These are the watchwords of Tropical Arctic Logistics Limited, TAL, as it unveils the first member of its fleet of aircraft. The event kicks off with an interactive session with members of the press.
Before we decided to venture in this business, we did a business plan that took us 3-4 years. We did a post-mortem of everybody. What happened and what did not happen. What can go wrong or what had gone wrong in the time past. What are the challenges and what are not the challenges.
Next is the main event at the hangar, where the helicopter stands majestically in the presence of dignitaries and other invited guests. This is not just a dream come true for the president and CEO alone, but also for his late father, whom the helicopter is named after.
In this endeavor and future business endeavors.
And finally, the commissioning done by a member of the NMPC board, Tajuddin Umar.
Where an industry exists.
TAL says Chinenyeze is the only helicopter with air conditioning in the country, and this 12-seater beauty is built to handle oil and gas operations, executive spot charter, emergency services and banking operations.
Most regulated industries you can enter. And all you have to do is follow the rules. What's happened in Nigeria is people are not following the rules, you know. We are determined to follow the rules, and if we do, we will provide an excellent service at a good cost, competitive, and we have better aircraft. So I think we really are in a good position.
The emergence of Tropical Arctic Logistics Limited into the aviation industry is set to provide end users with an appealing alternative when next they need to fly, especially with the expected delivery of 7 other aircrafts, including a business jet.
Time now for business news on the news at 10 with Kayode Okikiolu.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Gimba, and welcome to Business News. Nigeria's inflation rate is expected to drop for the 17th consecutive month in June, indicating that prices of goods and services increased last month at a lower rate than in May. Analysts at FSDH Research in their June inflation survey expect the country's headline inflation rate to drop to 10.94% year-on-year, while analysts at financial derivatives companies see the rate drop by 0.51% to 11.1% in June, from 11.61% recorded in the month of May. The National Bureau of Statistics is scheduled to release the country's latest inflation report on July the 13th. The Central Bank of Nigeria has directed all banks, primary mortgage institutions with super agents as well as mobile money operators to render their daily returns to the regulatory body through the Interbank Settlement System, NIBS. In a statement signed by the Director of Banking and Payment System Department, Mr. Dikpo Fatokun, the financial regulator says the directive takes effect from July the 10th and warns that failure to comply may lead to revocation of operation licenses of any deposit money bank. In March 2018, the CBN, deposit money banks, licensed mobile money operators and super agents launched a new initiative to extend financial services to 60 million financially excluded Nigerians by the year 2020. Moving on now, Ms. Zainab Badawi of British Broadcasting Corporation has asked the Nigerian government to prioritize entrepreneurship financing. The television anchor told Channel's television business editor Bosin Omofaye this in an interview after an edition of a program BBC Global Questions here in Lagos.
Entrepreneurship is in the DNA of the Nigerian, and really they need an enabling environment. I think we've moved beyond that kind of model where we expect the state to provide employment. If it had to do that, it would have to find 3 million jobs a year for Nigerians. And this isn't just a challenge that is unique to Nigeria. We see that right across Africa, where there are so many young people, of course, coming into the workforce. So I think government has to create an enabling environment, has to make sure that people have access to finance, that infrastructure is there, that the education system, even at university level, here we are talking at the University of Lagos, that people have the right skills that are needed to develop the economy. And so, of course, there's a great deal that government can and must do, and I think then the Nigerian individual, the community, can really run with, developing their own future.
Let's now move over to the stock market, where sell pressure had the upper hand at the close of today's trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange as price drop from bellwether equities took its toll on the market. Teniola Shobowale has a summary of Friday's activity.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The first trading week of July ends Friday's sessions back in the red after the market's only recovery in Thursday's trading due to profit taken by short-term investors. The 1.41% strong performance from the banking sector was overwhelmed by the impact of sell-offs from the industrial, consumer goods and the oil and gas sectors, which led to a 31 basis points drop in the NSE's main index. Price decline by 20 equities led by Sovereign Trust Insurance resulted to a 43 billion naira drop in the equities capitalization against gains recorded by Equity Assurance and 20 other advances. Meanwhile, in contrast with the last two trading sessions this week, total volume of shares traded for the day, which were largely driven by the shares of Nigeria Aviation Handling Company, lowered to over 300 million units. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Teniola Shobowale.
Thank you, Tenny. Well, major world stock markets end Friday's session positive across board as investors cheer the stronger than expected U.S. June employment data. On the other hand, it's a different picture for some leading African markets. And that's business news. Thank you for watching. I am Kayode Okikiolu. The news at 10 now continues with Gimba.
You first. First Bank.
Efforts by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons to ensure that perpetrators receive the appropriate punishment have received increased support from the UK government. This comes in the form of the opening of a joint border task force satellite office in Benin City, the Edo state capital. The Director General of NAPTIP, Julie Okadonli, and the British Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Harriet Thompson, believe the partnership has led to improvement in the speed of prosecuting offenders.
The ribbon-cutting ceremony for the opening of the Joint Border Task Force JBTF satellite office in Benin City, the Edo state capital, is a speedy exercise. The Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Julie Okadonli, and the British Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Harriet Thompson, with their teams, have a look around the facility and also make out time to address the staff on the importance of the collaboration.
Together over the past 2 years, we've managed to make some extraordinary progress in the fight against human trafficking.
It's a partnership among various efforts yielding results in high figures.
Count, we've had 352 convictions, but in the last 2 days we had 4 convictions. So we are now looking at 356 convictions. It could be more. By the time I leave here, we may have 2 or 3 more convictions, hopefully. And you know, it's getting better and bigger.
The United Kingdom government also sees the need to explore initiating similar projects in other states within Nigeria in efforts to intensify the fight against human trafficking.
The focus is very much in Nigeria, being on Edo State and on Benin City when we talk about human trafficking. And it's true that that's where the largest numbers are coming from, but it's not restricted to Edo State. And we know, as we see in all areas of organised crime, that when we successfully clamp down on organised criminals in a particular area, be that a geographical area or indeed a commodity, they are very skilled at moving on to the next place or the next commodity. So we need to keep one step ahead of them, and it's by talking about things like where should the next office be, where should our next focus be, that we're able to keep one step ahead of them.
A library at the Benin Zonal Office to aid research in human trafficking issues also got the blessing of the Director General of the agency, ending the day's activities. Jessica Olugusere, Channels Television News.
The Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has inaugurated a new complex of the National Industrial Court built by his administration. During today's ceremony, Governor Wike explained that the new facility and the reconstructed Court of Appeal are part of his administration's commitment to support justice delivery and the rule of law.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, accompanied by the River State Governor, heads of the judiciary and top government officials for the inauguration of the newly built National Industrial Court of Nigeria complex.
In the name of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
The event is coming as the state government begins to wrap up activities marking Governor Wike's 3rd anniversary.
Solution to our numerous problems lies in adherence to the principles of rule of law. If we do that for 4 years consistently, you will see that everything will fall back into place.
Chief, for the state governor, these efforts are to promote the dispensation of justice in the country.
The Federal High Court was severely dilapidated. The National Industrial Court did not have any courthouse, while the Sitting Court of Appeal building was in the worst state of disrepair. We consider the condition of this court as grossly incompatible with our vision to make Rivers State a regional judicial hub. Consequently, we decided to change the quality of courthouses, including those of federal courts in the state, to actualize our quest for a truly functional judicial system.
And after inspecting the facility, the team heads for the next event, which is the inauguration of the remodeled Court of Appeal complex in the state.
As in my 18 years as a then in the Court of Appeal, I have not seen such level of assistance from any state government to the court.
The new National Industrial Court complex and the remodeled Court of Appeal, according to the Chief Justice, should serve as a lead to state governments to support the development of the judiciary. Emmanuel Iri, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Belgium stunned Brazil, knocked 5-time world champion out of Russia 2018 World Cup at quarterfinal stage. That's the sports news. Stay with us.